Hey guys, Midnight Zone here, and I bet you guys never expected to see the end of this video. This is our hardcore demon hunter. Currently what we're doing is we're going through trying to get the parts needed for the Staff of Herding. Now, I had a lot more footage for this saved up, probably like a good 2 hours worth of footage or so. And then I found out that if I am watching One Piece on my secondary monitor while playing the game, the audio also picks up the One Piece audio, and it overlaps it with the in-game audio. So there's no way for me to get the in-game audio back without basically doing a nightmare amount of work, which I don't think I can do. So we're going through here trying to get the parts needed, and we get the gibbering gemstone. And right now I'm adding my own voice recording over this. We also just got Leoric Shinbone recently, and we also got another pet that we haven't seen on this version of the build here. So that's not quite what I mean to say. On this version of the game, we've gotten almost all of the pets on console. However, on PC, we're severely lagging behind. So we just need a couple more things now. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the pet here. And there it is. So this is our pet. Pretty cool. I'm sure most of you guys have this unlocked by now. But I'm excited to kind of go through and earn some more stuff for the channel here. Because I definitely would like some diversity in some of the pets that I have here. Now, that being said, doing these runs here, I am using the God set, and I'm using, I believe, a Nephilim Rift version of the God set because I don't want to take my time. So we're going to go ahead and loop through to the cathedral now since we've got the gibbering gemstone. We've already got Leoric Shinbone, so we don't need to do that. We also have the liquid rainbow, which we found way earlier on by getting lucky. And I always like to clear out most of this area when going through here. Occasionally I'll go through the visions that are in these areas when I'm playing the game normally, but I was playing on the last day of the season here, so I really wanted to try and get as far as I possibly could, which meant ignoring the visions that would show up or pop up, including that one there. But we did luck out and get the black mushroom here, and this was almost immediately after getting the gibbering gemstone, which I gotta tell you is one of the most amazing feelings in the world, getting these things kind of back to back. So really happy about that. And we're trying to get the plans here as well by killing Izual. By the way, pro tip, never ever leave in-game, otherwise you will most likely kill your character like I almost did right here. This was a double activation of the cheat deaths here, so I really almost died by zoning out and playing the game. That scared the ever-loving crap out of me there. So we go back a couple more times and we finally get the plans that we need here. So it drops right here. Along with those two shards. Now, I got so many shards that I don't really need anything else, and I don't have nearly enough embers for it, so it's not like these things are going to be really helpful. So I'm pretty much just going to scrap every single one of these that I see now as well. And I was getting the plans early. I still need to go through and do some leveling in the greater rifts here before I actually use the plans. But I thought if the plans are going to cap me, I might as well start with those. And then once I get those and get all the materials I need, you could see them all listed there. We craft the Staff of Herding. I can throw it in my stash, and then when I'm ready to use it, I can get through and actually do that. Speaking of, for some early tips next season, if you guys want to, you could farm the Staff of Herding right at the very beginning of the game when you're leveling up. I have practiced and tried it out by just taking a peek and seeing if Chiltara shows up or anything like that. And I did luck out in getting the gibbering gemstone in one season right at level 12. And that saved me a mile of time. Now, normally for me, the black mushroom is the thing that takes the longest to get. But, you know, maybe it's Chiltara for you guys. Let me know what actually takes you the longest. So with that being said, the next thing that we need to do is start going up in Rift difficulty. And the stipulation that I put on myself for this build here is that I can do the God Nephilim set and the God Speed set for farming keys and for farming lower Greater Rift difficulties that I've already unlocked. So my gems for the Natalia set that we were running this season are fairly low. So I'm going to switch over to the God set, run through these rifts as fast as I possibly can on the God set, and then start upgrading the gems until the gems get to a higher difficulty. Now, at a certain point, I won't be able to use the God set. I'll have to switch over to the Natalia set because I need to clear a higher Greater Rift level. So anytime I break through a higher Greater Rift level, that is on the Natalia set. So all I'm doing with the God set here is just trying to speed up the time, especially here at the end here. I need to get through this as fast as possible. So with that being said, we do that a couple times. We go through, we start crafting the higher quality gems that we need for our gear, because now at this point in the game, these gems do have a significant impact to our survivability and our ability to stay alive here. So I'm kind of using up all my reserves because there's no point in really saving a lot of these. I don't have any augments on any of my gear here. I don't even have most of these as ancients, so I am rocking a very low quality set here. And if you notice, I'm below 800 Paragon, so I'm not even getting the full benefits of the Paragon as well on my gear here. You can see my kind of damage there and where it's currently at, as well as my toughness, about 770,000 damage and almost like 100,000 toughness, or pretty close to it there. It's a little bit harder to see in the recording here because it's shrunken down, but that seems to be the case from what I can gather here. So I won't be able to give you precise numbers. So I'm going to go through and double check all of these things. I'm going to check my enchantments, but I'm pretty sure most of my enchantments will be fine. I might be able to get 1 or 2 more %. And then our goal here is now to climb the Greater Rift ranks. So we're moving up as fast as we can. And I haven't played the Natalia set in a while, so it took me a little bit of moving around with it to get used to it. But the basic premise of Natalia's here is that when you throw down spike traps, it activates a damage reduction buff. So the more spike traps you throw down, the longer the buff is active. And then you throw down caltrops, and as the spike traps explode, it pushes enemies towards the caltrops. And when enemies are in the caltrops, you do more damage, and when you're in a caltrop, you do more damage. So basically our goal is to keep most of our buffs active, move around, throw down these caltrops, and then hit them. We are using a Zeiss. This is a Greater Rift speed version of the set, not a Greater Rift push version of the set. And typically I would switch over to the push version of the set and try it out, but I was too nervous to do that this hardcore run because I was already familiar with the speed version of the set and how it played and how it felt and how much damage I could take. And I was fairly sure I'd be able to build it up enough to be able to do a 110. But I wasn't sure if switching over to the push set, if I would walk into a Greater Rift at, 100 or so, and then just immediately die. So that being said, the Greater Rift runs pretty much like that. The Rift Guardian is dead relatively easily. We get to run through and kill him, no problem. You can see our current ranking is very, very low, or maybe high. I don't know what the qualifications of that are, but we're nowhere near the top. And then we're finally pushing our way up to a 102. Now I just need a 100, but I also need to clear a 110 later on. So I thought might as well, get as far as I can on here and make my way up. So we're doing the 102, and you can see that now the monsters are not dying nearly as quickly. They're a lot harder to kind of group up, and it's taking a little bit more time. Now at this point, we're really kind of hoping for certain pylons and stuff to kind of help us out and deal damage. It's also looking like the monsters don't really want to follow me all that well. I'm not too familiar with the dragging mechanic style of placing down the caltrops and how this works to kind of hold them together. I'll need to figure out a little bit more about that, which is also why I didn't do a build guide for the Natalia set this last season, because I wasn't confident that I could deliver the same quality I did in the God set for the build guide, because I myself am still struggling to figure out the mechanics here in the Natalia and how it operates. So you can see when these Greater Rifts start getting up there, we could still kind of trickle up and we'll be able to complete it. You can see here that we still have plenty of time left, and again, those pylons really kind of carry us through. And as long as the Rift Guardian isn't too difficult, we should be able to kill it just fine. Because the Natalia doesn't seem to struggle very much on the Rift Guardians, there's definitely some sets like Tragghouls, for example, on the Necromancer, that could do the whole rest of the map really fast and then take, 2 minutes on the Guardian alone. But here we're doing great chunks of damage, whittling our way down. We got to be careful for certain attacks. I don't know how much I can tank, so I'm trying to avoid everything that's falling down towards me if I can, which means I'm also more wary of certain Rift Guardians that just kind of jump out at you. And already, you see, we jumped up to rank 650 from about the 800s. So just doing a few Greater Rifts here, is pushing us up in rank really fast. And this is, again, one of the last days of the season, where I would expect everybody, especially on the hardcore characters, is really trying to push their way higher. But in the process of doing that, we might have had a lot of people lose their characters and just say, okay, well, I'm not gonna build a new character back up, especially if I lost all my good gear. So we did that, and the next thing we need to do is the Whispers of Atonement. Now, something to be wary of, especially in hardcore, is the Whispers of Atonement are designed to overwhelm you or kill you. Now, obviously, we can't die in hardcore, because if we do, we're not going to get the Whisper that we need. We're going to lose all of the gear, all of our follower gear. So we have to play until we're overwhelmed. And it can be a very fine line between getting overwhelmed and getting killed in here. So I'm using the same strategy that I always do on here, which is around 100 getting the pylons, and then around like 110-ish getting the lightning pylon. I want to get to rank our current tier 126, and when that happens, I want to start letting myself get overwhelmed. So now I don't want to kill the enemies, I just kind of want to run around the edge, and we managed to do it just fine and clear it at tier 129. So that gives us the Whisper we need to sacrifice at the altar. And then we're going to have to do this again to augment our weapon. But this time a little bit safer, because when we augment our weapon the next time through, it doesn't have to reach a certain quality. It could be over rank 50, 60, 70, 80, and so on. So we're going to go ahead and clear out that Whisper of Atonement and get ready to do the augments here. And if you notice, I am in the God set running through here. I could do this on the Natalia set, but it was too close to the end of the season. I did not want to risk losing the Natalia set here. So I switched over to the God set, and I figured, okay, if I lose the God set, it's no big deal. I can try again and use some of my backup sets to go through there. So with that being said, I need a weapon to sacrifice. I always throw in a random ancient weapon in here that I don't need to sacrifice at the altar for this exact purpose. I hate getting to the end of the game and then finding out I don't have any good weapons to sacrifice. I also needed some more gems, so we went ahead and converted some gems over and used up what we had here from the stash to get the gems that we need to augment the gear correctly. And then we're ready to go ahead and sacrifice it. And that brings us to the final altar requirement, which is probably one of the most difficult things to do. And let's see if we can get that going there. Okay, so Staff of Hurting we already have. So skip that. That's not the final one. That's the most difficult. And it's going to be clearing that Greater Rift 110. Now, in softcore, I would say this isn't a big deal whatsoever. I would say that most people were capable of following their build guides that they find on Max Roll or on Icy Veins, or just even a standard YouTube build guide, should be able to do it as long as they understand the mechanics. And if you're not locked into a specific class or a specific build, you can always switch over to a different class that can clear it better. That being said, for example, in Season 37, the Necromancer is going to be very good. So if you have trouble doing the 110 on your class, you can always make a Necromancer real quick, and they'll probably be able to do it no problem. Now we're again going through, and we need some Rift Keys because we used up pretty much all of them. So I'm switching over to the Nephilim set and running through and doing the Nephilim Rifts. You can see here, it's pretty fast. Not really worried about dying. I've got a lot of toughness with the gold wrap set on me, as well as the gold pickup and Wound of the Hoarder and some other things here. So we're running through these fairly fast. And we've also got Canes on our follower, so we're getting pretty much all the keys we need in one run to do the rest of these. Now at this point, I'm doing my final gear checks. Okay, I'm actually throwing in these gems, which I haven't been using the whole time, the soul shards for the season here. And I also realized that with not a whole lot of Hellforge Embers, it's really hard to get to the exact one that you need for your build correctly. That being the exact power that you want, and then the secondary stats on stuff on there to be lined up exactly the way you want. So I did my best to use up everything I had and match it. And now we're going to, again, crawl our way back up. And again, this is super scary because I did basically everything I could here to test it out and make sure I'm staying alive. Luckily, Natalia is pretty bulky. I haven't had too many near-death moments and stuff on here. My damage is far better, as you can see, even going up a higher difficulty than the 102. So That's because my damage has shot up. I put in the correct gems. I've done some enchantments and stuff like that to give myself a little bit more power. And I've looked through for some better items that I had in my storage or my stash. Now, at this point, it's still taking us roughly the same amount of time as doing the 100. And I've got to do this a couple more times, moving up, 2 or 3 levels at a time here. Again, the pylons are really carrying us. So as long as we get a couple pylons or so, we're good. I am hopeful that by the time the 110 rolls around, I could get something like an ore extreme. Although I know that that's not a likely scenario. At the very least, if I don't feel like I can do it with what I currently have on here, I'm going to go farm for some Nephilim Rift keys and then try and get an ideal Greater Rift, even if it's not an ore extreme. So there we see that this scary guy over here who jumps at you and can one-hit KO you is losing a lot of health fairly quickly, so he's damaged pretty fast here. And now we're at rank 624, so we're hanging around pretty close to the ranks, which means most people have gotten there. Now at this point, I noticed that, hey, I have crafted items, so why not go through and craft a whole bunch of items until I get some ancient ones, and then try and make those perfect. So I did that with the Guardians, and I did that with the other Ogwalds on here, and I'm here doing shoulders, and it's just not giving me what I want. So I'm, kind of content with whatever kind of rolls on there. I really want a 20% chance to deal area damage. It says I could also do cooldown, so I was going to go that, but I really think I need more damage, and the cooldown's not going to be too much of an impact for me. And then if you notice there, I did not equip that on me, despite spending a good 20 minutes trying to enchant that. So I'm still wearing the non-enchanted one. And this right here is the final Greater Rift that I need to do, the Greater Rift 110. So I'm missing that item that I think when I'm playing the game right now, I have on. I don't realize I don't have it equipped yet, which is a huge mistake on my part. And also, I'm starting to struggle here with the damage. You could see that I can kind of keep up with the timer, no problem. I ran into some elites right in the beginning. Almost died right there, which is not a good sign because the previous times running through, I didn't have very many red moments. And there's a second time where we're getting into the red and we're just starting the Greater Rift, which is not a good look for us. And this is the point where I'm starting to think, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to show a video to you guys of me dying in the final Greater Rift 110 and putting in all this work. And if I didn't have those few weeks where I was sick there, this wouldn't have been too big of a deal. I would have lost some ancient items. I would have lost my gems, but I could get them back up. And again, we're dipping in the red. We're dipping in the red again. It doesn't look very good. I kind of want to get out of here at this point, but I also realize that the season is going to end. And if I die, I will not have enough time with my current schedule to get this back up. So I figured, it's now or never. We're going to go through, we're going to try our best, and if we succeed, absolutely amazing. We've done it. We did what we set out to do. And if we fail, then that's going to be great for you guys to watch as well. Who doesn't like to see someone failing before they reach the top here? That's pretty exciting, in my opinion. So this is the full run. And we're saved by this shield pylon over here. Now, in my opinion, I'd rather have gotten this a little later, but this does give me a sense of relaxation here for a little bit. I've got the flavor of time on the followers, so I'm doing fine, and it allows me to not worry about dying for at least 2 minutes or so, or kind of close to that. So we're gonna finish off this guy and make our way down. You guys also know that I love the speed pylons and stuff for almost any class. There's almost no downside to getting a speed pylon, and it works with pretty much every single build. With this Natalia one, the only thing that's a little bit of a bummer is that we have to stop, all the time. But the speed pylon does help with our attack speed. And then we get a cooldown pylon over here and the reduced resource costs. Now, I don't really have to worry about resource costs. Cooldown, I do have to worry about with the Vengeance. This is helping me keep my Vengeance active, but of course our shield pylon is still active. And with those 3 pylons right next to each other and having so much time left, or not time left necessarily, but having so much more to complete for the Greater Rift, I'm getting nervous that what's going to happen is here in about a minute or so, I'm going to reach a point where I've ran out of all of that pylon strength at the same time, or pretty close to the same time, and I'll be surrounded by elites, and 2 or 3 hits from the elites are going to knock me out and take me out. So I'm trying to keep an eye on the buffs as well to know when those buffs are going away. As I know when the shield goes away, then the next ones are going to be short to follow. Which also means we're going to try and do as much damage as we possibly can by targeting these elites while we have all of these buffs active. So we're just kind of spamming on these things right here. I hate these guys that crawl into the ground, because if they get in the ground again and come back up, they're so much tankier. And now we're kind of at the point where I think we might be able to make it. But that lightning pylon comes in clutch. Now we're doing absolutely great for the damage. And we got the elites here, which should give us enough to spawn in the boss, which means that we should make it with absolutely plenty of time to spare here. And this is something that I was ready to give up in the first 10% of the Greater Rift because of those red moments. But once you lock in and once you get, going there, this worked out for us. Obviously not an ideal Rift Guardian for me here. That does make me nervous because I feel like this guy can one-shot me. And of course our shield has now ran out or expired there So we get him though. We do it in a good amount of time, and we jump all the way up to rank 491 there with just a couple more levels on the Greater Rift. It really goes to show you how many times, especially in the hardcore solo bracket, how difficult it is to climb up a couple ranks, or it's not necessarily courage, but the willingness to give it a try. So after doing all of that, I realized I am shy 15 blood shards, or 20 blood shards or so. So I went ahead and just ran through and did another thing to collect the remainder of the blood shards. And of course I had to do it on the Natalia set to close strong on the Natalias there. And we're gonna just rank up random little things that we have left here to bring it up just a little bit more. But after that, all we have to do is turn in the altar. We're gonna go ahead and just scrap all of this stuff. It could be ancient pieces here. Honestly, I don't care at this point. It's all gonna get scrapped at the end of the season anyway. There's me realizing that I was wearing the wrong ogles this whole time when I scrapped the ancient one, thinking, wait a minute, was that ancient I just scrapped? Why would I do that? And then back to the altar here again. So there we have it. There's the final node that we wanted to unlock on the altar. Now, again, we do have some primals that we could find to get the rest of this and fully unlock the nodes. I won't have time to do that this season, sadly. But that's just a matter of time playing the game. And once you get a primal, scrap it to get the rest of these. But all the other things that have actual requirements behind them in the altar, we've done. We did the 110. We did it hardcore. We're still pretty low Paragon, actually. We're at 700 and so. And we're going to take a look at the leaderboard and scroll down to see exactly where we're at. Again, 110 in 4 minutes and 32 seconds. That's not bad. It's certainly not very good, especially compared to the previous seasons and how I've been typically doing there. But there we're at right there. And if we adjust to specifically in the Natalia set, we could see how we did in regards to just utilizing that set. And when we did here, I was expecting to still be in like the 100s or so. And I was really surprised when that wasn't the case. And you can see that we're actually in the 20s, which is pretty good. And of course, if we go up a couple more rifts, we can move up a little bit higher there too. So not bad. But I hope you guys liked this format that I'm doing over here, where we kind of break down the videos and we don't showcase everything. I did that for like time's sake because I didn't have time to edit all the videos. My footage got corrupted. So let me know if you like this kind of format for the next season. I'll try and do a full walkthrough for the first parts of the game, but once it starts getting repetitive, maybe do this. But thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy.